Welcome back, students watching. Today we're gonna continue with our activity lesson. Now, do you know what is our first activity? Well, we're gonna do art. Well, you need a heart printed out from a printing machine, or you could also draw one. Make sure that at the top of the heart you have this dotted line. Is open. Could you see? So now first you need to flip to the black part. It could be a little dirty. After you do that, you need to wash your hands. So first I marked all the necessary place. Now you could mark it just like me, leaving a rectangle in the middle. Then fold up. So the part that you will open to reveal the letter looks like this. Make sure the part with the line is faced toward you. Now this part, I have already folded it back. Now fold it forward. You need to see that this almost touches the line. Do the same with this. So now we have these two. Now you fold it. Now it wouldn't have a picture like this. Open it like a computer. Open, down. So here is your Squid Game envelope. Then you could see where I have this. You see the tippy top? It has a triangle. Fold a really small rectangle, a triangle at the top. Move it down so it reaches this point. You can see when I fold the rectangle, it just adjusted. Now we want to see sword. So you need to slip it right into the gap. Then we have an envelope. Then you could write to someone and from your name, and then sometimes it will have a note like a birthday card. Imagine sending a birthday card with this. You could say to your friend from you. Then you could say, note, please don't forget to bring a present, like that. So you could put any type of letter in this envelope. If you want to paint your letter, you could wait for it until it dries. Make a resist. Like if you just spread paint on the letter, then it will be noisy and stuff. So you need a white crayon and color the letter. You could still see the letters. Then the words in the letter. Then you will get some red paint depending on its color. If you get red paint, then the heart is red. If you get blue paint, the heart is blue, like that. I'm using gray paint because, of course, inside of my heart is gray. So now it just depends on the color of your heart to make it beautiful. So now let's continue with the lesson a few videos ago. So now let's continue learning about the United States, my country. So here, our United States. Do you remember the directions? Do you remember? Well, here it goes all the way here until it reaches America again. It's the east. If it goes in the opposite direction, it is a west. If you go here, it's west. Go here, it's east. Now, what if you go all the way down to the south? Well, if you go down to the south a little bit, you reach Mexico. But if you go all the way, you reach the South Pole. Then from here, if you go up a little, you reach Canada. If you go all the way up to the top, look at the top. Just look at the top of the globe. Here you could see it is located at really tippy top. This is called the Arctic. Here, the Arctic. Could you see? Let me go it down again. There. Now, I'm going to spin the globe 3 times. And then you guess if it's America or not. Understand? 1, 2, 3. Is this America? Wait. Is this America? It is the Pacific Ocean. Is this America? Now let me try spinning 1 time or 2 times to see if it has, okay? Is this America? Nope. Nope. Not again. Here we have it. The United States. You need to spin like this. With 1 time so it gets a little bit less force, so it could go only 1 circle so it reaches its place again. So in the United States there are lots of types. Here we have Los Angeles, San Francisco, Las Vegas, and its capital. Do you know United States capital? You need to search for the capital. Well, the capital is Washington, D.C. Yeah, Washington, D.C. Could you see? Washington, D.C. Can you see it? Even though it's the capital, it's not the biggest. The biggest is on the tippy top. That's why it's so called the United States Alaska Peninsula. So let's go back to our United States, our living country. Now, you see here the United States. Let's compare it with one like this. Now, let's keep our hand. Let's compare it with China. You see, you could see that the estimate is America is as long as China, from Las Vegas, from San Francisco, all the way to Boston, New York. It's like this. Now, if we measure China like that, it's almost as long as you could see. Then move to United States. Still. So you see, it's really amazing. Now let's move to the reading. We'll read Great People of America. Do you know what are some great people of America? Pilgrims, Native Americans, England, Squanto, Worship, and Governor. So now let's read the first paragraph. The Pilgrims. Pilgrims is one of our vocabularies. Pilgrim became great Americans. Here we have the Native Americans. It almost looks like it. In the 16,000s, they lived in England. England is another of our vocabularies. Could you see? England. They loved God very much and wanted to worship. Worship. Another word. Worship. They loved their God. Him. in their own way. But in 1606, the King of England said, "Everyone must go to my church." There are lots of unfair rules in England. The pilgrims said, "We must find a new country where we can worship God in the right way." Now, could you see any words in the vocabulary down there? The pilgrims. Let's see. So pilgrims we marked off. Worship. Worship. After going here and there, these people sailed for America in a little ship called the Mayflower. It is called the Mayflower Voyage. What is a voyage anyway? A voyage is an adventure, somewhere to go in an adventure. So the Mayflower is another. The Mayflower is an important thing to memorize. So I am going to highlight it as well. So now, what about now these people called themselves as pilgrims? What is a pilgrim? They're people who lived a long time ago in America. They're sometimes also called Native Americans. A pilgrim is one who travels from place to place. It was not easy for the pilgrims when they reached America. It was winter and there was little food. Many became sick and died. Still, they trusted God. Some friendly Native Americans came to the pilgrims in the spring. One Native American named Squanto. That's why they capitalized Squanto in the vocabulary. Squanto, Squanto. Squanto brought them corn and showed them how to plant corn. Here is corn. You could see planting corn is sometimes easy in the spring, but not as easy in the winter. It's still easy if you have your greenhouse. When fall came and all the crops were gathered, the pilgrims were happy. They had food for the winter. Their people were not sick, and Native Americans were their friends. The governor set aside a special time to give thanks to God. The pilgrims invited the Native American chief. When the chief came, he brought 90 people with him. That's a lot of people. 90 people are the 90 Native Americans which are in his group. Those are some more facts about this part. The first Thanksgiving Day. The first Thanksgiving Day was in 1621, 21 years after the Native Americans. The pilgrims had set out for America. The pilgrims and Native Americans ate their food and played games for 3 days, non-sleep. They did not forget to thank God for His goodness for them. Today we still have Thanksgiving, a special day for thanking God. We celebrate Thanksgiving on the fourth Thursday in November, because that's when a long time ago Thanksgiving was celebrated. Here, as you could see, this is a picture of pilgrims. The pilgrims and the people and these people with the feathers on their heads are Native Americans. Now we have George Washington, soldiers, President. The man who led our army and The war that won our freedom from England was George Washington. He was the first president of the United States. This brave and honest leader helped the soldiers keep going when many wanted to quit. General Washington had a deep faith in God, and many times he asked for God's help. After many battles, the war with England was over. George Washington and his army had won. After the war, Washington led a group of men who wrote the United States Constitution, the main set of laws for our government. When it came time to pick the first president for this new country, George Washington was chosen. He was called the father of his country. Just like I said, he was the first president of the United States. The cherry tree. George Washington did not suddenly become a great person when he was a grown man. He learned to do right and tell the truth when he was just a boy. When he was just a boy. People like to tell a legend about young George Washington. It may not be true, but it shows what kind of boy he was. George Washington had a new little hatchet to try out, and he cut down a young cherry tree. "Who did this?" cried his father. "Father," said George, I cannot tell a lie. I cut down your cherry tree with my little hatchet." Paul Revere. Paul Revere was a silversmith. He was also an American patriot. A patriot is someone who loves his country and wants to help it in any way he can. When America wanted its freedom from England, Paul Revere did all he could to help. One night he rode a horse to warn the people that the British army was coming. Because of Paul Revere's bravery, more people wanted to help the American army. Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin was a very wise and great American. He did all he could help America grow strong because he was the one with the face on the $100 bill. He was the one with the face on the most popular, the most expensive dollar bill. A little too big. He did not have much of a chance of going to school, but that did not stop him from learning. He worked hard to teach himself new things. When Benjamin was only 12 years old, he began to learn to print books. People like the wise saying that he wrote the book called Poor Richard's Almanac. There was just two of his many sayings. Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. That's what a rhyme is. Early to bed and early to rise. They both have the word early. Makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Wealthy and healthy rhymes. You can see they both have the word healthy, like an elf. An elf from Santa Claus. Little strokes fell great oaks. Little strokes, really small, but fell great oaks. Here he is. While our country was fighting for freedom, Benjamin Franklin went to France many times to get help. He was one of the many patriots who signed the Declaration of Independence. He also helped to write our country's Constitution. Now, this is the 42nd President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. Each February, we celebrate Abraham Lincoln's birthday. He was born in a one-room log cabin in Kentucky in the year 1809. This was 77 years after George Washington was born. Many changes had taken place since George Washington lived. The United States had grown from 13 states to 17 by the time Abe was born. Here, could you see the log cabin? You could look at it. You see, it was made from orange black wood. But now it was remodeled to be a log cabin. You know why it was remodeled? This was because it was old. Many people found it and liked it, so it was cost a lot of money. That's why it was remodeled. Do you understand about it now? It was remodeled to have a yellow color in the roof and a blue tan color with the dark red orange stripes and black too. The door was remodeled to made into a villa. What is a villa anyway? A villa is a small house. The roof was made into beauty and the doors perfectly shut. The gates were perfectly sealed and there was a small garden outside. Abraham Lincoln, or Abe Lincoln, was born into a poor family. He went to school very little because he had to stay home and help with the work. But that did not stop him from learning. He read every book he could. He was willing to walk for miles just to get a book to read. The book he read most of was the Bible. He remembered and hid many verses in his heart. He told these verses to other people. Here you could see is a picture of Lincoln reading his Bible. Lincoln's family moved to India in 1816, and then came to Illinois in 1830, by the time when there were 24 states in our country. Abe's first job was working in a little store. He was so honest that people called him Honest Abe. It is great to be known for your honesty. Later on, by studying hard on his load, he became a lawyer. People liked him very much. In 1860, when he was 60 years old, of course, Abraham Lincoln was elected President of the United States. By this time, there were 33 stars in our flag, one star for each of the 33 states. Our country was growing fast, but its problems were also growing. In 1961, President Lincoln led the states of North in a war against the states of South. The men of the North were dressed in blue. They were called the Union Army. The men from the South were dressed in gray. They were called the Confederate Army. Many men died in the war. Brother fought against brother. Many people prayed to God every day and asked him for wisdom to end the war. In 1865, North won the war. America was a very tired country. With the help of God, we could grow strong again. Soon after the war, President Lincoln was shot while he was watching a play. Next morning, he died. America was sad again. Our country has lost a great leader. America has had still many great leaders. Maybe someday I would be able to do something special for my country. I hope so. Like being a lawyer, being a president, being a nurse, curing cancer, a firefighter, or any others. So now, it is the end of the part talking about famous men in our country. So now, bye-bye for the next part. See you.